Welcome to Wellywood Wargaming, where the grim dark never sleeps. Crack open a bottle of wild snake and spark up a low stick as we take a journey down Underhive.
Right laddies, I'll make this brief. This sector is known to be a breeding ground for those bastard insects the Nomad scum call pets. We are in and out on this job, no mucking about whatsoever. The clan has sent Mr. Crisp here to aid us on this expedition. Mr. Crisp, would you give these boys the lowdown?
Aye. Thank you, Charter Master. We are here to make a claim on the head of a beastie that is known only as the Duneskuttler. We've only ever had rare sightings of these bastards, but we hear they can be a bit of a nuisance if they get up close and personal. Your job is to get down there and flush out the warrens, while Mr. Brayburn keeps an eye out up top. We'll coordinate things on the Vox as soon as we get the sightings, and I will take it from there. Shouldn't be too much trouble for us, and there's a sack of creds waiting for us when we bring home the boys.
If you happen to bump into any of those scrawny nomad bastards down there, be a gentleman and put them out of their misery, shall we?
Aye.
In this scenario, two gangs try to hunt down a wild Anthromite Duneskuttler and claim the kill. This scenario uses the standard rules for deployment as described in the battlefield setup and scenario section of the Necromunda core rulebook. Bear in mind here we are using the new Shadow Hunter rule, so they'll be able to actually infiltrate into this game. Of course, this is an Ash Wastes rule generally as written, however we are throwing it in here to try and demonstrate all the new spangly stuff for the Ash Waste Nomads and the Squat Exokin. Whichever gang took the Duneskuttler out of action is victorious. If the Duneskuttler is still on the battlefield at the end of the battle is a draw. On the battlefield there will be 6 lairs or warrens that we'll need to flush out. It is a basic action to flush out these warrens, and you have to be within 1 inch of these. You roll a d6, and on a 1 to 5 the lair is empty. Remove the lair for the battlefield, and on a 6 the Duneskuttler has been flushed out, and then he arrives within 1 inch of the lair and remove all lairs from the battlefield. The Duneskuttler activates as soon as this fighter's activation ends. So for the side of Syndicate, the Squat Exokin and their Charter Master, the gang list is as follows. We have Mr. Brayburn, the Charter Master, clocking in at 295 credits with an Ironhead bolt pistol ×2 and 2 bolt spitters over the shoulder with flak armor and the gunfighter skill. We then have Mr. Cox, who is an Exo Master at 225 credits with a Storm Welder and Ironhead combat shotgun. His skill of choice here is Dependable like Kin, meaning he can re-roll ammo checks, and the unstable trait is lost on the Storm Welder. We then have the Squat Exokin named Golden Delicious, who is 130 credits with 2 rock saws. We have Mr. Jazz, who is a Squat Exokin at 110 credits with the Excavator Hammer, and Granny Smith, who is another Squat Exokin with 180 credits of 2 Ironhead Power Fists. Oof. Lastly, we have the Squat Claim Jumper that clocks in at 60 credits with all the gear and some idea, Honeycrisp and his Techmite Autoveyor cameo. And now for a look at the Ash Waste Nomad opponents, the Ash Wastemen. We have Mr. Mono, the Kartragi Chieftain, clocking in at 200 credits with a Long Blade, Mono Hook, Mesh Armor, Ash Cloak, Sky Mantle, and the Evade skill. We then have Mr. Gauntlet, who is a Shadow Hunter at 125 credits with Bone Talons and Chitin Gauntlet and Mesh Armor. We then have Mr. Trident, the Shadow Hunter with 110 credits total with a Trident and Mesh Armor. Mrs. Whippy, Shadow Hunter, 160 credits with 2 times Venom Whips with the Venom Sack there as well. We also have Mr. Stave, who has 2 Venom Staves at 135 credits, also a Shadow Hunter. And lastly, Mr. Stave Knife, who is a Shadow Hunter at 135 credits with 2 Venom Staves as well. We then have 3 pets assigned to 3 different fighters here in Anthromite Spineworms, Snap, Crackle and Pop at 45 credits each with a total gang rating of 1000 creds. Once the Duneskuttler does arrive, it will be a very fearsome creature to take down indeed. It has 3 wounds, 4 attacks, mandibles that have rending and damage too, with carapace armor and fearsome as well as clamber. It can go all over the place with that wall scuttling special rule as well. The squats first deploy the entirety of their crew, all of the exokin independently on the ground level, with the squat claim jumper, his auto-veyor, and the chartermaster up on level 1 in the center of the battlefield with a good view of everything. The first tactics card is already played at deployment here, and that is shock traps. The Nomads rolling a d3 and rolling a 1 to place 1 shock booby trap anywhere on the battlefield. It is placed behind a door, giving less access to the exokin on the ground level. For the Nomads, the only fighter starting on the battlefield is actually the Katragi chieftain, who moves over to the far left behind one of the storage containers. Priority for round 1, and the Nomads get it with a 5. The squats will go second in the first phase of the game. The chieftain moves into the first warren, rolling a 3 and removing the warren from the battlefield. Mr. Jazz then moves into position with a double move onto the second warren. Golden Delicious now moves onto the third warren with a view to flush it out next turn. Mr. Cox, the Exo Master, now falling in behind Mr. Jazz, and last for the Exokin, Granny Smith now moves over to the right hand side of the board with a view to climb up and avoid the shock booby trap. A group activation now with the Charter Master and Claim Jumper moving into position in the center of the board. Mr. Gauntlet and his trusty pet Snap now move onto the board at the end of phase 1. They have to be infiltrating at least 9 inches away from any enemy, but they can be right out in the open if they wish, and they are positioned between 2 of the other warrens on the board here. Round 2 begins with priority again going to the Nomad Shadar Hunters here. Mr. Gauntlet does nothing and sends his pet Snap off to flush out the second warren of the game, which he then rolls a 1. The warren is now removed, keeping 4 in the game. Mr. Jazz flushes out the third warren, rolling a 3 here, and then does a basic move round the corner towards the Nomad Chieftain that he doesn't know is there yet. Playing it cautiously, the Nomad Chieftain moves into cover behind the cargo container. Mr. Cox heads off into the middle of the table with a double move. Golden Delicious then uses his basic action to get another warren, this time rolling a 1. Still no Anthromite Duneskuttler turning up. His second action is then a move as well. The squat Claim Jumper and his Techmite Auto-Veyor climb down the ladder and head into the center of the battlefield with a double move. Lastly, the Charter Master repositions into cover, getting a firing position ready for any critters that may appear anytime soon. At the end of round 2, we see the deployment of Mr. Staves here over behind the deployment area of the squats here, up high on a ledge and ready to pounce. Into round 3 here, and the Nomads get priority again for the 3rd time in a row here. Their priority resulting in a charge from Mr. Talons onto the dual Rocksaw wielding Exokin here. Can he take him out? 4 attacks here with 2 separate weapons, the Bone Talons and the Chitin Gauntlet here. Only wounding once, however, and the save is not made by the squat Exokin, which results in an injury roll here. With only 1 wound, the injury roll comes up as an out of action, and we have our first casualty of the game in a very brutal and direct conflict here. Snap is then sent off to clear out another one of the warrens, which he rolls a 2 on, removing one of the last warrens in the game so far. Still no Anthromite Duneskuttler. However, Snap, being too far away from his owner, has now failed his cool check and is broken. Over to the squats now. The squat Claim Jumper sends off Cameo, the Techmite Auto-Veyor, in a daring charge against the Nomad Shadar Hunter. The poor little Techmite isn't particularly good in close combat and comes up rolling Snake Eyes on his close combat attacks here. Counter-attack from the Shadar Hunter sees 1 attack go through, wounding the Auto-Veyor on a 5. The Techmite fails its armor save here, and an injury roll is made, causing a serious injury on the poor little Techmite Auto-Veyor here. Seeing his pet smashed up, the Claim Jumper then charges in, electing to use his unwieldy Power Fist as the sole weapon in this close combat attack. 3 attacks on the charge here, with 2 of these hitting, with the unwieldy power fist. Only one of them wounding here though. No save for this Shadow Hunter, and 3 flesh wounds are rolled for its damage 3 profile, which immediately takes the Shadow Hunter out of action. 1 apiece for the squats and the Nomads so far. The Nomad Chieftain climbs up onto the cargo container to get a better look at the battlefield. The response to that is rather swift, with the Exo Master electing to use here his squat shotgun, hitting with a 4 and triggering knockback on the Nomad Chieftain. However, the shotgun does not wound, with only a 2 rolled here. The Nomad Chieftain does make his initiative roll, but is knocked back onto the next platform. Next up, we have the newly arrived Mr. Staves, who elects to jump from the top of a 2-story building, failing his initiative check and landing in a heap on the ground, right in amongst all the squat exokin. Mr. Jazz then does the honors, charging into versatile range with his exo hammer, with 2 attacks here, one of them wounding, triggering power as well. We have a whopping double skull and serious injury here, with all 3 injury dice, taking the hapless Nomad out of the game as well. 2-1 to the squats so far. Mr. Brayburn, the squat charter master, elects to stay still, watching the battlefield for any movement of Duneskuttler. With both gangs starting with only 6 fighters, this will now require each of the gangs to make a bottle check. Both of them pass these bottle checks, meaning no worries as we head into the next round. An injury roll is made here with an assist from the claim jumper on the Techmite Autoveyor. He rolls, however, a serious injury and gains a flesh wound for his troubles. Into priority here, and the squats for the first time roll a 6, getting priority in this round. All of the Nomad Shadow Hunters that are remaining off the battlefield are now deployed in various parts of the battlefield. Now we have a real game on our hands. The squats electing to go first, with Mr. Jazz climbing up on top of the cargo container and waiting patiently for the Nomad Chieftain to stand and take what is coming to him. Invoking the Toxin Spirit here, the Nomad Chieftain, with a trick under his sleeve, takes out Mr. Jazz with a Toxin attack here. Very sneaky indeed, rolling a skull after the save is not made. 2-2 so far in this game. The Chieftain's second activation is to move into position for a charge next turn on the Exo Master. The Exo Master obliges, this time with his Storm Welder. 5 shots, triggering shock and an out of ammo marker here. The 1 is rolled for the ammo. Using the skill here, we re-roll that into another 1, and we are now out of ammo on the Storm Welder. 5 saves to be made here by the Nomad Chieftain, and he makes 3. 2 of these will go through though, and 1 damage dice will be rolled here, taking a wound off the Nomad Chieftain. A serious injury is the follow-up. Initiative check here for the Nomad Chieftain to fall off, and he passes. The last Warren is successfully flushed out, and the Anthromite Duneskuttler arrives behind the Nomad Shadow Hunter. As soon as the Anthromite Scuttler arrives on the battlefield, he initiates a charge into the behind of the Shadow Hunter here. 5 attacks on the charge, many of these hitting. 3 wounds here, triggering rending with no save. We have a whopping 6 damage dice, 3 skulls, 2 flesh wounds, and a serious injury. No chance of surviving this one. The brave claim jumper passing his cool check to charge the Anthromite Duneskuttler in the side here, electing again to use purely the power fist here. He comes up with 3 misses on the charge here and massively fails in his duty here. The Duneskuttler then turns to face, fighting back at the hapless claim jumper. 2 attacks going through here with the turn to face, with both of them wounding. Both saves are failed for the claim jumper here, and we have 4 damage. A skull, a flesh wound, and 2 serious injuries mean that the claim jumper is out of the game, with his Techmite Autoveyor gone as well. Another Nomad Hunter with Mr. Trident here and his trusty sidekick moving into position to try and defend the Nomad Chieftain next turn with a double move. Mr. Brayburn, the squat prospector chartermaster, draws a bead on the Anthromite Duneskuttler in range with both of his bolt pistols and his power pack weapons here, we're going to trigger the automatic rain gang tactic card. This gives every single weapon he has an extra rapid fire dice, meaning a whopping amount of rapid fire here. 2 rapid fire on each bolt pistol and 2 rapid fire on each of the bolt spitters. Can we take this creature out? 14 hits here with rapid fire with this tactics card. Half of them are only damage 1, but this should be enough to take out the Duneskuttler. We shall see. Many wound rolls are made here, with 3 saves in the end made and 3 of the initial hits going through. 2 of them at damage 2, 1 of them at damage 1 here, taking a lot of wounds off this creature and giving us 2 injury dice here, and 2 flesh wounds come up, making the Duneskuttler go down in toughness by 2 here. Not quite out, and the squat Chartermaster now fully out of ammo on all 4 of his weapons here. A fearsome check to be made here for Mrs. Whippy with her 2 venom whips. She then passes her initiative check to use the venom sacks, making them far more potent even at versatile range here. The charge is made into the side of the Anthromite Duneskuttler. 1 hit from the 4 and also wounding with a 6 here. The save is not made. Another flesh wound is caused, and that should really piss it off now. Now for some insect on insect action, as Pop, the last spine worm, charges in, passing his cool check on fearsome, getting 2 hits and 2 wounds due to the reduced toughness of the Anthromite Duneskuttler. However, the Scuttler does make both of his armor saves. The Duneskuttler in an absolute rage now, with 4 attacks in reaction here, 2 of them hitting, 1 of them wounding and triggering rending for that juicy 3 damage. 3 flesh wounds caused on the spine worm here will also take it out, and a cool check is then made by the owner. The last tactics card is played here for the squats. Heads of Iron, the bottle check for the end of this turn, is automatically passed, and there is no need to roll the dice. Granny Smith, the dual power fist wielding exokin, completely forgotten in this game so far, off to the left, is now back in the game, and priority is rolled for this phase, again with the squats getting it 2-1. Granny Smith here, fueled by hatred, does a double move, charging up a ladder and using an initiative check successfully to jump from the top of this platform onto the cargo container with a 6. The Duneskuttler, enraged, charges the nearest Nomad hunter with 5 attacks here, 2 of these going through, 1 triggering rending on the wound roll here. For a whopping 5 damage, we get 4 serious injuries and 1 skull out. Another Nomad down. Consolidation from the Duneskuttler in towards his enemy, the Chartermaster, with a view to charge next turn. The Nomad Hunter with the Trident moving into versatile range to stabby stab with his Trident onto the Exo Master here. 2 of his attacks go through at versatile range, with 1 of them wounding. However, a save is made this time by the Exo Master. We then have a subsequent charge from the last remaining spine worm here. Only 1 of the attacks go through onto the Exo Master here, but he fails to wound the Exo Master, and now it is the Exo Master's turn to face and destroy this spine worm in his path. 2 attacks here with open hands, only 1 of them will hit. It will wound on a 6 though, and a serious injury is caused on the last spine worm. A cool check passed for the hunter owner. Now time for the Exo Master to shine in response here with his Ironhead shotgun. Unfortunately, he does miss his target at point blank range. The Nomad Chieftain moving down to aid his hunter next turn in finishing off this Exo Master. The Chartermaster, Mr. Brayburn, then fails to reload both of his bolt pistols here. Another bottle check made at the end of this phase, and neither of the gangs will flee. The giant enraged insect at the start of this turn now successfully charges up the wall into the Chartermaster with a view to a kill. 5 attacks here with only 2 going through. Both of these, however, will wound, triggering 1 rending. 2 wounds are taken, with the remaining 2 injury dice rolled as serious injuries. The Duneskuttler elects to finish off with a coup de grace. Granny Smith climbing down from the cargo container onto the center of the battlefield with a view to get some close-up action against this enraged insect. The Nomad Chieftain's time to shine here as he charges the Exo Master. 4 attacks here with the mono hook and the long blade. 3 of these will hit and 2 of these will wound. No saves made due to the AP here. 1 wound is taken and an injury roll is made. A skull and it's out of action for the Exo Master. 2 remaining Nomads and 1 remaining squat in this game. Is it enough to finish off the Duneskuttler? Into the next round here, and the Nomads reposition to try and get up close and personal with the Duneskuttler in this round. Of course, the Duneskuttler does get priority on everybody and charges into the remaining Shadar Hunter. 5 attacks here with only 2 of them going through, neither of which, however, wound this time on the Shadar Hunter. The Shadar Hunter then responds with his trident. At -1 to hit in close combat, he fails to do so. The last tactics card of the game here is played by the Nomads for a free retreat basic action on the hunter that has been charged. Rolling a 4 to retreat away from the Duneskuttler. A lucky escape for this last Shadar Hunter. Now for the Nomad Chieftain to pass his cool check, charging into the Duneskuttler with 4 attacks here and hitting once with each weapon. Only 1 wound going through here with no save made by the Duneskuttler. A flesh wound is caused here and the Duneskuttler really is on its last legs at this point. However, counter-attacking from the Duneskuttler here, 4 attacks, 3 of these will go through. 3 attacks will wound, triggering 3 saves from the wounded Nomad Chieftain here, and he makes none of them. Several serious injuries here, and the Nomad Chieftain is now out of the game. Passing his cool check, Granny Smith now makes the charge with his dual power fists into the rear of the angry beast. Only 3 attacks for Granny Smith here. Can he make them count? 2 of them will hit. 1 of them will wound. If there is no save made by the Duneskuttler here, he rolls a 4, failing his save. This will be a whopping 3 damage on the Duneskuttler and should be enough to finish him off. We have 2 serious injuries and a flesh wound. This will be enough to finish off the Duneskuttler. It is goodnight, Irene, and Granny Smith is the victor for the squat prospectors in this one. Completely up against it and forgotten about for most of the game. The dual power fists really did shine at the end there, and the squats prevail. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and check out the Patreon if you'd like more of this type of content. Thanks for watching.